أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. Today is 25th of September 2009 and we continue our discussion about commentary on Dua Nudbe, session number 27, and what I want to discuss today is about the zarurat of having hujjah. There is an issue of necessity of having Hazrat Hujjat alayhi salam or Imam alayhi salam. And I can't be long because of the time limitation. We started late and I tried to do some conclusion. For every issue we have got two type of hujjat itself, which they say in hujjat as well, or reasoning. One is called aqli and one is called naqli, or aqlan and naqlan. Aqli means we need to do reasoning and you understand intellectually why and address the issue from the reasoning point of view, why we need to have hujjat or why we need to have Imam alayhi salam on by reasoning. And the other thing is what has been said about it by the narrated from A'imah and from Masuim, that is called naqli or naqlan. This has been quoted, we have been told by Imams about it. Aqli or intellectually, all the same reasons that applies for having the prophets, all the same reasons apply for having Imam alayhi salam. And having prophet, the reasons that we have for that, reasoning that is given for that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created mankind. They usually call it qa'idah lutf, the principle of lutf. And lutf, I really don't know any English translation for it, but I explain. That is, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created human being and He is asking them a certain manner of life, a certain way that they have to go and certain directions, it becomes only wajib on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When I say wajib, this is wajib aqli, intellectual wajib. It's not wajib that somebody is forcing him. Na'uzubillah. It only becomes wajib on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to direct people and to tell these people or His creatures how they have to go on that way, how they have to reach to the destination He has set for them. And it is by that reasoning that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent all the prophets. Prophets are there to tell people on behalf of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala how they have to live and on which way they have to go and what they have to believe, and all those things that in a religion is discussed prophets have come to say those things to people. So what happens when the prophets finish, when it comes to the last prophet of Allah, Hazrat Muhammad Abdullah alayhi salam, that the prophecy is sealed and is closed and is finished? What happens after that? Is it that Allah has left people on themselves? Allah's lutf is only for the people up to that time, up to 1400 years ago. So what happens after that until the last day, which we don't know when it's going to be? Is another 1,000 year or another 100 year or whenever it is? What happens to the people? So, or as I said, it is not possible that Allah has created. I said it's like somebody ring us and say you're invited to come to dinner to our house tomorrow, and hangs up the phone. He doesn't tell us how to go there, where is his house, and that's very similar, but of course very simple example of if Allah has told us where to go, we have to go and reach the ziyafat of Allah that is at the end of Inna Lillahi wa Inna Ilaihi Raji'un, everyone should go there. He has to tell us how to go there, what to wear, what is the direction, and all of these things in simple language is required. So then after the Prophet Muhammad, all the issue of Ma'asumin and A'imma comes to place. That's why and how this issue of successorship of the Prophet is successorship by Imams alayhi salam is raised and has happened. That's why Imam Ali alayhi salam was appointed to be the successor of Prophet Muhammad, and that's how in the day of Qadir, Prophet Muhammad told about all the other Imams until Imam Mahdi alayhi salam. And that is how Imam Mahdi alayhi salam went to Qibat. If had it not been, for whatever reason, Qibat and occultation had not happened, and Imam was going to live a normal life of 60, 70, 100 years, that would have been it. So the whole thing, this material world would have come to an end. So these are, I don't think, if I'm wrong, I have to be told by you. I don't think intellectual reasoning of it is, I mean, I don't think we need to talk too much from the reasoning point of view to see why we need to know Imam. There are another type of reasoning which is more of irfanic, and inshallah maybe we get some opportunities to discuss it, which it discusses that material universe cannot exist without Imam. That's something we might have touched on different topics that we have been discussing. We might have just flagged it and spoken about it, but not having gone into details of it. That the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when it comes, I only flag the major topic. When it comes to the creation, the first thing is khilafat. You know, we have in Quran, inni ja'ilun fil arzi khalifa, that I wanted to put on the earth khalifa, a successor. That arz is Mawsif Allah. Arz is not earth. Earth is just one meaning of arz. But in reality, as we have discussed, there is a sky and an earth. So it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and Mawsif Allah. Mawsif Allah means everything except Allah. So the whole creation of Allah is called arz. So Allah is, and a sky was what? A sky was unlimitedness. A sky was absolute. A sky was itlaq. That being which is mutlaq and has got no limitation, that is called Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is called a sky. It's not that astronomical sky that we talk about it. And everything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is called as. So Allah says, I created a successor on the whole creation. That is where the issue of khilafat starts. In simple terms, Allah created someone on his behalf. When I say on his behalf, that is that he represents him on the whole creation after him. And we have spoken probably one session about this issue of Haqiqat Muhammadiyya sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which is again the same issue that we also in Layali Qadr, when we spoke about Tanazzulat al-Wujud, again we were touching this very issue, that when we say the Layla and we said Inna anzalnahu fi Laylatul Qadr, that Layla, that first Layl, which is the major Layl, which is the Layl of Qadr, that was Haqiqat of Insan Kamil. That's again the same thing. That's again the issue of Khilafat. That's the issue of successorship of Allah on Mawsif Allah. So, in the issue of Khilafat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created Insan, and that Insan of course is Insan Kamil. And So I don't want to go, as I said, I don't want to discuss this issue. I just want to say there is another path, which is, we call it irfani, to explain that how and why Imam is needed even, which is, of course, to me, this makes much more sense than any other reasoning that I just, even that very simple reasoning that I just said at the beginning, to me has got a second importance or second conviction. It doesn't give me as much as conviction as this one I just told you. It gives me that why we need Imam. But also another thing about intellectual or reasoning or about Imam is why, because there are people, we know that especially Ahl Sunnah, they reason, they say, why isn't Imam is needed? Why at all? Why do you guys, you always think there should be something between Allah and human beings? And it looks very attractive discussion, attractive question, that you guys, you are depriving yourself from directly being in touch with Allah, and you want to create something between you and Allah. But this is an issue, again, I only quickly touch and pass. This is an issue of senkhiyat and commonality. There needs to be commonality between two things. You just imagine yourself, without even needing to go through any strong reasoning. See how much yourselves, how much commonality you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that Allah directly talks to you. But why do we need imams and prophets? Because prophets and imams are the issue of insan and kamil, and we bring them in between us and Allah. We say they are between us and Allah. And they are, like we say, Imam Zaman alayhi salam is the source of face of Allah. Why Allah does not directly give the face to you? And it must come from Imam Zaman alayhi salam. This is an issue of senkhiyat and commonality. There must be some commonality. I have no commonality with Allah the way I am. And even worse than that is when you look at the other creatures, look at animals and nabat and plants and other things. What a commonality they have that they can receive Allah's face. But of course, in that notion that we have discussed, and we discuss inshallah again further in the future, it is the way creation is made when on the notion and concept of Orafa, when they discuss it. Remember, when we say Orafa, we are not talking a different way of thinking. When we say Orafa, it's not something against, other types of Muslims. The other Muslims, which do not have any concept, they are, at least I have not heard them to explain. If it is not issue of manifestation and it's not issue of cause and effect, then how is the rest of the world explained? Explain how it is explained, the relationship of Allah with His creation. So that's why I call what is today labeled and named as irfanic and the concept of Orafa, I see that the only way and the only thing that in reality explains the relationship of Allah and the creatures, because that is we know that that's the main thing. One of the main things is when talking about any concept, then certain question must be answered. Then you have to say, how is Allah related to His creatures? Which I said, there are different notions of Newtonians, how they look at it. They look at it like a clock and winding clock, and there are other people who look at it differently, but that was whether you call it or that's one of the things that Rahmatullah Mullah Sadra did. He conceptualized a theory called Hikmat Muta'aliyah, which explains beautifully especially through Harikat Jawhari, how the whole world is connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the problem of those other people, the problem is whether it's Allah has created and has sitting back and looking at it, And it's working because Allah has beautifully created all the rules so that Allah does not need to interfere. So Allah has become redundant and is only sitting there and yawning all time to time and say, what do I have to do it? Or whether, as Newton has taught, or Newtonians are saying, whether Allah has created a set of rules, but time to time there is some modification needed. And he comes and touches, and then the other people say, your God is not very able God because he has not created all the rules. But we believe, with the way we think, from our, which comes from Imam A'imah alayhi salam, all this way of thinking comes from Quran and Imam. That I have to control myself not to go into this issue. That's one of those, as you know, favorite topics of me, that if I leave myself in it, I can talk hours about it. So we need to talk a concept, a way that explains well this relationship of Allah and his creatures. And as I said, the other group of Muslims, they say, why you bring somebody in between you and Allah? We are so great, we do not have that, and so we are so directly close to Allah. Whereas, whether they know it or not, everyone is true Imam, connected to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it is through Imams that we are receiving the faith and blessings of Allah. And that is the issue of commonality, because Imam is Barzakh al-Kubra. Remember, Insan as a whole is called Barzakh al-Kubra. Barzakh means in between. Insan is a creature which has got one side of Insan is divine and Ilahi, one side of him is like other creation, is non-divine, if you like. So when it comes to Insan, a human being, Insan Kamil, the perfect human, is that very creature of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that has got two sides. One side is towards Allah, one side is towards the rest of the creation. That is when we say in Dua Nutbeh, وَأَيْنَ مُسَبِّبُ أَيْنَ السَّبَبُ بَيْنَ الْأَرْضِ وَالسَّمَاءِ. Where is that? أَيْنَ السَّبَبُ الْمُتَّصِلُ بَيْنَ الْأَرْضِ وَالسَّمَاءِ. Where is that sabab, that it means that wasila between Arz wa Sama, between sky and earth. That sky is a sky of unlimitedness, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and Arz is the rest of the creation. So, anyway, let's pass from this issue. If, as I said, we discuss this, we have to discuss this separately. Is a major topic itself. But these were aqli, or intellectually, why we need Imam. But naqlan, which is, if you say by the word of Imams and Prophets, we also have to study that. And remember, it's very important, believing in Imam and Imam Zaman alayhi salam is the very fundamental core of belief of Shia. When I say Shia, in fact we say Muslims, but unfortunately, we are labeled Shia and Sunni, whereas we are the most authentic Sunnis ourselves. That means we are following the traditions of Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it is is an important part of our belief. If we are not believing in Imam Zaman alayhi salam, our belief has got problem. And you have heard me several times, and I'm sure in others, from other sources you have read, you have heard, you have been told that all a'mal are presented to wilayat. If our wilayat is not strong enough, no a'mal is accepted. I didn't mean when I was writing this little note last night to bring all those issues, because I have spoken about it before, that there are many ahadith which says al-Islamu buna al-khums, for instance. Islam is made on the basis of 5 things. And Imam explains that, I think it's Imam Baqir alayhi salam, which explains that those 5 are salat and sawm and hajj and jihad and zakat, And then he says all of these are conditional on the vilayat. None of them are accepted without vilayat. And even if you go to, you see, look at the reality of all of those things. The amal that we have is about vilayat. When you do Hajj, it's about vilayat. Hajj is about vilayat. Salat is about vilayat. Sawm and fasting is about vilayat. Everything is about vilayat. Alhamdulillah, I have enough understanding up to my own understanding level, that I do not need to refer to any book if we want to sit and talk every individual of these a'mal, how they relate to vilayat. They are on their own, they are nothing. And the simple and very, very clear way think about it is in Quran. We say, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Al-yawm akmaltu lakum dinakum. That very word of akmaltu is saying that the religion was not perfect before that. And Prophet sallallahu was giving 23 years of teaching and preaching about Islam, and all those a'mal, still Quran calls it imperfect. He says, today it became kamil and perfect. So that is very simple. We do not need to go into any lengths of this lengthy discussion to understand that is the juice. Kamil means that's the fruit. The fruit of the religion was what Prophet was given on that day. And anyway, there are many things comes to my mind, and that I feel that I have to explain. But again, this issue has got so many branches. There are many branches of it. And I tell you this much: if you want to discuss about Islam, it's all about vilayat. So in every branch you go, the issue of vilayat is there. You go to a'mal, is there. You go to aqaid, is there. You go to individual a'mal, you see that you are dealing with the issue of vilayat. So I have to control myself, come back to this hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Wallahu ma tarakallahu azza wa jal al-arza qattu munzu qabaza adama illa wa fiha imamun yuhtada bihi ila Allah azza wa jal wa huwa hujjatullah ala al-ibad. I've chosen only two hadiths, maybe, or one. Two hadiths, to have discussed about that part which is naqli and is the way of hearing from Ayyam alayhi salam about it. That says, which means Allah, from the day who take away the soul of Hazrat Adam alayhi salam, He never left the people of earth on their own. He never left them on their own, unless He put someone as imam between them. So there has not been any time after Hazrat Adam soul has been taken away, unless Allah has left somebody as imam on the earth. By which, that means by imam, the people will get guided. They will be guided by him. And he is the strong reasoning of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Imam is hujjat, and a strong reasoning of Allah on all the people on the earth. And then he says, Imam goes even one step further. That's the beautiful part of it, which I love this part, the second part, more than the first part. Al-hujjatu qabla al-haqqi wa ma'al khalqi wa ba'da al-khalq. Hujjat is with khalq, has been with khalq before the khalq, before the creation, with the creation, after the creation. Hujjat is there. That's the issue of Haqiqat Muhammadiyya sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Abu Hamza Samali asked from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, Atabgha al-arzu bighayri imamin. Would the arz remain without imam? Again, you can look at this, you can translate this meaning, translate this word as Masawallah or as else. Both of them, they correct. They make sense. Imam says, لو بقيت الأرض بغير إمام ساعة لساخت. if the earth stays without Imam 1 hour, it will implode, everything will collapse. That is to say that everything needs senkhiyat. There is no senkhiyat. When there is no senkhiyat, that means how would the blessing of Allah reaches to the rest of the creation? The whole thing will implode. This is a beautiful hadith from Imam Sajjad alayhi salam. I don't have time to, I can only read and tell you, translate it, but explanation and sharh, there is no time for it. It says, Imam says, نحن أئمة المسلمين وحجج الله على العالمين وسادة المؤمنين وقادة الغر المحجلين وموالي المؤمنين ونحن أمان لأهل الأرض كما أن النجوم أمان لأهل السماء ونحن الذين بنا يمسك الله السماء أن تقع على الأرض إلا بإذنه وبنا يمسك الأرض أن تميد بأهلها وبنا ينزل الغيث وتنشر الرحمة وتخرج بركات الأرض. Allah, Allah, Subhanallah, so much. ولولا ما في الأرض منا لساخت بأهلها ولم تخل الأرض منذ خلق الله آدم من حجة الله فيها ظاهر مشكور أو غائب مستور ولا تخلو إلى أن تقوم الساعة من حجة الله فيها ولولا ذلك لم يعبد الله. Imam says, we are the leaders of Muslims. We are the strong reasoning of Allah on the whole creation. We are the, see these Arabic words, when it comes to English, then you do not find the word for them. Sadatul Mu'minin. We are the Sadat, how do you say that Sadat in English? Masters. Thank you, Hassan. We are the masters of Mu'minin. We are Qadatul Ghurra al-Muhajjalin wa Mawali al-Mu'minin wa nahnu amanul ahl al-arz. We are the secret of life of the whole Ahlul Arz, the people of Arz. Same way that all the stars, the same way that stars will keep the people, the creatures of the skies, the same way that the stars will keep the creatures of the sky in the sky. نحن أمان لأهل الأرض كما أن النجوم أمان لأهل السماء. We are the protector of Ahlul Arz, protector of the people on the earth, same way that the stars are protectors of the creatures of the sky. وَنَحْنُ الَّذِينَ بِنَا يُمْسِكُ اللَّهَ السَّمَاءَ أَن تَقَعَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِهِ. We are those that Allah has created the skies to fall on the earth, except with His permission. So we are, that means we are keeping the skies of Allah to fall on the earth. And with the barakah of us, Allah has kept the earth so that earth does not implode in itself. To us and by us, Allah has sent the rains and showers of rahmat and has expanded His rahmat. When Allah says this, you can talk always about every sentence of it. When He says, Allah, by us, Allah has expanded His rahmat. What does that mean? That means they are the tajalli of Ism al-Rahman, the name of Ar-Rahman, because name Ism of Rahman is the expander of wujud. So they are the manifesting of that name of Allah. If we are not there, if none of us is on the earth, the whole earth will implode and take everything in it with it. From the day Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the earth, earth has never been left without hujjat. And it will be the same until the day of Qiyamah. If it is not like that, listen to this last sentence. If it is not like this, Allah will not be worshipped. I don't want to tell something to make everyone kafir. If imams are not there, Allah cannot be worshipped. You just go and find it for yourself. Why when imam is not there, Allah cannot be worshipped? Okay, imam is there. I don't want to do anything with imam, and I go and start to do my worshipping of Allah. So, Imam Khomeini Rahmatullah has got a very interesting short sentence. He says, without ma'rifat, Allah is not worshipped. So that means without imam, you cannot worship. I'm just giving you some clues. Without ma'rifat, Allah cannot be worshipped. Without imam, Allah cannot be worshipped. So ma'rifat equal to imam. If we do not know imam, we do not know Allah. We have in many other verses, hadith, we have got that ma'rifat has become equalized to imam. Imam is equal to ma'rifat of Allah. We have no way to Allah. So, we may be called kafir, but I don't talk more than this. So, what I want to say, you have to close it. What I want to say, really this was too short for this topic, that it's very important. If we do not feel the wujud of imam, it's a different thing. We have to find the reason somewhere else. Because sometimes we have got this happens to every one of us. Emptiness, some sort of emptiness that we do not feel. What is this Amusai talking about? Imam is with us, within us. And even I do not even feel him outside, let alone inside. So it's not always like that. It comes and goes. Sometimes we get that feeling that there is Imam. Why I don't feel it? And that gives anxiety. It creates anxiety. Reason for that is, there are many reasons. One simple reason is, like any other belief we have, our belief is called Ariyah. If you read, there is a dua in Quran, I've forgotten the name of the dua, that dua is particularly about that we leave our face to Allah, and we are hoping that, and at the time that we are dying, we can have our face and iman with us. There is a dua for it. I've forgotten the name of dua. I know where it is, but I'll show you later on. So, some people have asked Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and this question has been asked from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Why is it that when you talk to us, we feel so strong in our faith and belief, and when we leave you and when we go back to our work, when we start to get on with our normal material life, we forget, we feel empty. Is this not nifaq? These are the questions I ask. And Imam says, no, this is not nifaq. This is, you have got imanul ariyati. Ariyah means, you know what is ariyah? When you borrow something, that's called ariyah. It's like you have borrowed your iman. So he says, no, it is not, this is only natural. That sometimes you feel more religious, sometimes you feel more stronger in your belief, sometimes you feel less of the belief you have. The Imam says, no, this is very natural. Of course, you try. When you go and you're delving too much in the material life, your belief weakens. So that's why we do five times salat. That's why we have to, when you come back to our salat and any other acts of ibadah, we have to learn and practice concentration. It doesn't come, we just do something superficial. So it's either this, that we do not fit this, of this reason, either this is the reason, or also we have to search for the reason of this, some emptiness, empty feeling of imam, that we do not feel imam. We have to look into our own a'mal and acts in the daytime, the whole day. What are we doing? What are we after? And if you want, as I have said before, you want to know what are we after, what is moving us, go look at your salat. When you say Allah Akbar, what comes to your mind? These are the things that we are after. When we say our salat, anything, mostly that's one of the best places that we find about the things which are concerned, the depths of the concern that we have, that comes in the salat. So we have to resolve those things. If anytime when I say salat, I've got the problem and daghdaghe and thinking of, oh, what about my sustenance, and I'm not making enough money, this, that, then I have to find out I have got problem in reliance and tawakkul to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the issue of rizq. So I have to go and solve the problem, this problem. So if these gradually fill all our day, and we only come and do things superficially, and during the day our lifestyle is as such, and our thinking is as such that we are not with Imam, so of course we get that feeling that we do not find Imam. Where is Imam? Who said there is Imam? All the doubts come to us. So we have to find the reason somewhere else. Anyway, I said this today was very bits and pieces. I couldn't really make my point. I only tried, and maybe inshallah what I try to do from next Friday, as I promised before, from next Friday I start the issue of Insan Kamil. It's a very important irfanic topic which opens up a lot of things for us. It makes it more understandable. So if you agree with me, you say takbir and I say Khuda Hafiz. Allah Akbar. Par Muhammad wa al Muhammad salawat.